Good morning. This talk this morning is about healing irritation, which I have lots of experience with, at least the irritation part. I remember it wasn't too long ago that I sort of woke up irritated at Valerie for no reason, irritated at Sita, our little doggy, for no reason, or the little bit of barking that she was doing, and then irritated for the cat. And I would find all these different reasons to be irritated. And I just couldn't kind of get out of it. You're kind of, when you're in that irritated place, you're just in it. And it's hard when, people, if someone were to say, don't be irritated or what's the matter, it's hard to put your finger on it sometimes. And I remember I couldn't really, I could blame it on someone, or I could blame it on a dog or a cat, but really it felt like why is it all coming up against everyone? And so I went in the other room and I did a little meditation on it. And I realized that the meditation was coming from my view of the world. And it kind of came from the perspective of, I know what we are. I know that we're the light. I know that we are God's selves. I know that we're here for an experience and an education to anchor light and to allow God and source energy to flow through this experience. And still, I was looking at the world frustrated why we're not there yet. Why is this crap keep on happening and we're not, we keep on being promised that this is going to happen or that's going to happen. And why is it that I keep on seeing this evidence of the old paradigm? And one of the things that really helped me to get out of that irritation at that time was just to be okay with it, just to be, to not condone the destructive behavior and the abuse and all that stuff, but just to settle in, this is the way it is right now. And there's a certain part of it that's a reflection of my own inner workings, but just to be okay with it. Okay, this is the way it is. And I was thinking about, like, I know I must have had some time in the early, I think 1300s in Scotland or Ireland. And, you know, you know how time was back then, just having no toilet paper would have sucked. And to not have hot water and electricity and all that stuff. God, I just imagine some of the times what the place must have smelled like. And you imagine just, this is the way it is. And maybe it's never going to change. And yet it did. It may have taken a long time in our time perspective, but it did change. And it seems like that's what's happening all the time, is it is changing. So that's the thing that I can really hold on to have faith in, that things are changing even now. And it seems like the more that I do my best to elevate my consciousness, it seems like that change is happening faster than if I wasn't. So I wrote down some notes here about this whole experience. They're not in any necessary order. They just kind of came in when they came. So, you are here to be alive, to animate your physical body with Christ consciousness, to anchor light. And that's something that I really resonate with, is that not only is everything that is created from source, created from God, everything is made of Christ consciousness. And the more that we could make ourselves more of a clear channel and more clear way in eliminating things, ideas, beliefs, that we could recognize that Christ consciousness and start to display that, reflect that, and attract that. The other note here is, am I frustrated that events aren't lined up with my egoic desires? And it goes back to, we as individuals, and as a individual egoic person, individuality, we all have our certain ideas of what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what is bad. If I lived in, if I was Jewish or if I was Palestinian, I might have different desires. Or if I was Iranian or Iraqi, or, number of different other things. Um, what might be good for one person is terrible for me. And so those are all based on what would be called egoic desires. So even my desire for the world to be in a different place, in any other difference than what it is right now, is I love that. I love that I have that passion, and I love that desire to activate change and see the world as a different place, and just drive that through being what Abraham Hicks might be calling being on the leading edge. So that helps me drive and to keep on recreating myself, and not to get stuck in the disappointment and the expectation of it's supposed to happen in the next minute, hour, week, or 10 years. Stop trying to change the world from the details. And I think that I've gotten lost in that so many times of if I were to look at my mind's ability to get hung up in all the details, that's what all of my story has been, my suffering has been, my trauma has been, is that I've gotten lost in the details. And it's kind of like if you think of like a play, and you're in act one, and everyone is playing their roles, and one person's the villain, and one person's the victim, and maybe I'm playing the victim in that one, and everything is the idea is that I'm supposed to really get that, really be in that scene. But when we're in act 10, it's not time to really still be in act one. So my mind keeps me there sometimes in the details. And I know that happens too when we think about those irritations that we have during the day. Somebody cuts us off, and what does that do? It pisses us off, and it brings us into anger. Or maybe it brings up fear. I'm not going to be able to get to my appointment on time. Or maybe somebody's going to think that I'm irresponsible because I'm late. If we really looked at the inside workings of that irritations, why are you irritated? Well, I'm irritated because this person might be making me feel this way, or I'm feeling out of control or something. There's always something inside there. And then if we can find out what's inside there, is it feeling out of control? Is it feeling fear? Is it anger, frustration? That why is that people don't do for me? Why is it that people are always cutting me off? It's a funny, interesting thing when it comes out of my mouth. People are always cutting me off, you know, and then you can go, wow, there's this belief in there that people are always cutting me off or not giving me what I need. So in that irritation, there's the little clue that will take you to how you feel about the world. So how you feel about the situation could be how you feel about the world. Then we go back to letting the world be as it is, and then you working on your own world. So that's where we kind of get sidetracked in the details of the outside world. And we say the world is so messed up, and why are people doing this? And I was just talking to this woman the other day, and she just was going on and on about all the conspiracies you could ever think of. She talked about it, and she was full of anxiety. And that's what tends to happen, is that when we put all of our energy into the outside world and what's happening, we get anxious, we get irritated with the smallest things, but the smallest things are pointed to how we're feeling about the world. So her solution was to come back to herself and see what she has going on right here. So if she were to be completely present right here, right now, what is going on right now? So I laid her on the rock and off the trail, and I played the didgeridoo to her body. And for a few minutes, she was not talking. She was not doing anything. She was not thinking about anything. She was just lost in the vibration. And that's just a reminder that it's the only thing that's true going on right now, is that when we sit on a rock and we're present, we're in meditation or some vibration through, like what we do here, the gongs, the crystal bowls, the bells, anything that distracts your mind is kind of bringing you back to what's true. Could your irritation be a nudge to change your environment? sometimes you're feeling something, you're feeling an irritation, and it's because your body systems, your energetic systems are saying that it's time to move into a different environment. Maybe it's well, it could be a different environment relationship wise, or it could be an environment that, to change to a different room or change to a different job or career. It's like when you really feel that everything is in alignment, everything really does feel it really good, and it feels happy and joyful and at ease. And but when you're irritated, it's kind of a message that there's something out of alignment. I remember when I had this job as a programmer. I was a programmer for 15 years, if you can believe it. And I would easily get irritated. And so I would distract myself with activities and drinking and stuff. But that was just, I was every little thing in my job, they would give me a job to do, and then they would change the requirements of it a little bit, and that would irritate me. Oh man, I thought I was clear on what the thing was. So it may have seemed like I was irritated about the change in the requirements, but it was actually, I was irritated because I was out of alignment in that job, and I needed to get on the track to sit here with you. But if I were to stay in that job and just keep on dealing with that irritation and with not by changing anything, I don't know if I'd still be here, to be honest. So the question is, um, have you done what you need to do for yourself to make yourself happy? So if you find yourself irritated, especially when you're irritated by someone or something, the mind wants to stay in the irritation, but there's some things that you can do, that you can change your environment or change what's going on so that you can um, um, listen to your body, listen to your intuition that's telling you it's time to change your environment, time to change things up. Have you lovingly set healthy boundaries? And I remember I used to get really irritated and resentful even, and then so irritation leads to resentment, and then which leads to self-hatred. And that's the way that I was living, is I would not set any boundaries, and then I would just be in this guilt and obligation, and then I would get irritated and then I would be resentful, and then I would hate myself. And it just kind of goes along that path. And I felt like I wasn't allowed to set healthy boundaries for fear of breaking that pattern of supposedly everybody loves me and likes who I am. And if I were to set a boundary, they would all of a sudden go, "Oh my gosh, you're an asshole, by the way." you know so but it's a healthy thing to do, and people really appreciate that. The other thing that it's a really good thing to do when I feel irritated is to breathe. When I get irritated, my breath gets really shallow, and I start breathing from here, and my mind starts going and starts getting all these thoughts. So if I first realize that these thoughts, they're not true, they're just a reaction from something, so I can just, okay, that's what we do, right? When we get irritated with someone, so we don't boil over, we take a deep breath, but there's a physiological thing that we're doing there. We're bringing in more oxygen. We're also activating the carbon dioxide. We're telling our systems, our parasympathetic nervous systems and our health systems, to activate that oxygen and that carbon dioxide to come back to a healthy state of peace and serenity. And then if things get really tough, you can also take two fingers and tap at the top of your heart. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath. And I got to tell you, when I do this, when I tap at the top of my heart, I start feeling the emotions release. So I'm just really just tapping there, and it's almost like I don't know. It's like a benevolent energy coming to me saying, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Just come back into your heart." So that's a really good reminder. Could it be that you are here slash not here to anchor light, and you have gotten distracted from the source of what you are and your main mission and purpose here? So I was listening to this channel this morning, and I think it was her name was Allison Coe. Is it Coe? Coe, Allison Coe, and she was channeling in about kind of what's going on and what's it called, disclosure and stuff. But she reminded me of this idea that and see if I can put this into words. Um, she was relaying this idea that there are some people on this planet that have come from another galaxy, have come from another planetary race, and their job here is to just anchor the light. So it's kind of like they see that there's drama and life and things going on, and for the benefit of humanity, they drop in and just anchor the light. And they're not here to cure cancer. They're not here to develop a new government of democracy. They're not here to create the next best paperclip. They're here just to anchor light. And they know what life is like on the higher realms. They know what that pure love consciousness is. They know that that's what they are, and they're used to living that way. And for their own benefit and for the benefit of all of consciousness, they go into the danger zone, and of course, this is a reminder: don't forget who you are. Don't get lost in the crap. Don't get lost in all that stuff. And yet, what happens? We get lost in it sometimes, and so we need to get pulled out of it by different modalities and different people in our lives and different light workers, reminders, way showers, and we're also those for other people. So there's this idea that what if that let's say we all met on this call because we're all part of that we're all anchors of light in this, and we need to kind of play the role as a whatever we're doing in this world. But really what we're doing, the real truth of what we're doing, is that we're anchoring light, and that's the only thing that's really happening. And so we have jobs and we have relationships and we have all these things that happen in our life, but they're all avenues or vehicles for us to anchor the light. But we get lost in the details of what's happened or how it happened and who said what. And yet we're here just to anchor the light. Are you okay with just being? Just being. And just allowing God, source, to flow through this dimension, through you into this dimension and world. And I think about that. I thought about that question to myself. Am I okay with just being? And I'm not really in this life to, set to be a monk in a cave. Maybe I did it before and I'm doing it differently now, but this one, I'm Daniel. So I'm going to do my best to just be and still in the role that I'm living. But I also want to recognize that even when I ask myself that question, are you okay with just being and not doing so much and not getting lost in it? I can feel my egoic mind have a problem with that. I can feel the resistance of that. That's ever so slightly. It wants to, but it wants to say something. So I just take a deep breath. Yeah, that's how my egoic mind works. It can't live with just being. It can't live with just I am. And yet, that's the only thing that's happening. So what if you were most times? I asked myself that question this morning. What if I was in that being state, in that okay with the world as it is and anchoring the light most times? And what if that everyone in my experience is helping me do that? So here's a moment of complete vulnerability. I was getting breakfast the other day, and I walked up to the door. I opened up the door. I saw this older man, and he was some feet behind me. So I slowed my pace down so I could make sure that I opened the door and that I could hold the door open for him. He wasn't that much older than me, but I open the door and I wait for him to get to the door, and I hold the door, and he acknowledges, thank you. And so I walk into the restaurant. And usually you stand, it's Nick's, you stand in the lobby of Nick's and you wait for the waitress to come ask you how many in your party. So I'm waiting there, and he walks right by me, and he walks right up to the other room, finds a waitress, says, and she goes, "Oh, you just party of one?" He goes, "Yep, thank you." And then he gets his table, and he goes, "Yep, I'll have 2 eggs and sausage." I'm sitting there looking at this guy. What the hell? I just opened the door for this guy, and he just completely snuffed me. And so I sat behind him, and she put me in a table behind him, and I just lasered him with my anger. And I was like, damn, man, what a jerk. And so I had all this bubbling reaction to it. And then after that, I went to Natural Grocers, and I got in line. And of course, there's all this distancing and not enough cashiers and all that. And I'm waiting behind this woman, and she's got, a layer of food in her cart. And I'm really in a rush, and I've got to make it to my session. I've got just a couple minutes just to grab some nutrition. And she's the next person in the line at this lane. And they call in for another cashier, and this guy comes right up to me, goes, "I'll take you right over here." And I've got like a drink and a snack in my hand, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm going to take it." And I went over there, and the guy that was behind the woman goes, "Yep, it wasn't too long ago that that men were gentlemen and treated women with respect." I was like, "Shit, I just failed." And then I looked at the guy and the woman. I said, "I'm so sorry." And the guy wouldn't even look at me. He was just in his passive aggressive mode, so he didn't want to acknowledge it. And she looked at me and she goes, "Well, you must be in a hurry." And I said, "Yes, actually I am. So I'm so sorry, but and I just recognized that this bounce back of the judgment that I display in my day is coming back really fast. And if I could recognize the energy behind, I'm judging them for what? I'm irritated with them for what? Because if I don't catch that, it's going to snap right back to me. I've been seeing that more often. And I don't know if you guys have been seeing that too, if I'm the only one on the planet, but I'm just seeing that this bounce back reflection of I have an idea about someone. This guy is trying to park his big truck into the small space. Boy, he's really not going to make it. What was he trying to do? And then 10 minutes later, I'm having trouble in the parking lot. Isn't that crazy? All right. That's all I got for today. Does anybody have any? All right, you guys, I love you. Bless you. Thank you.